Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's AYCG Gamecast, episode 377. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Yo.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Yo.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Best of 2017 Game Podcast. We welcome you here. We're gonna go over games. There's gonna be spoilers if you if you haven't played some of these games. I'm sorry, but you can skip through. I've had to do it on some of the podcasts I listen to, but for certain spoilers. But we're gonna get into what we've been up to, and that's why, because certain spoilers. I'm not playing Wolfenstein 2 yet. I've started playing Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was on sale on Xbox, and I had, credit thanks to a certain company that gave us tons of credit this year, last year.
Shout out to Retailer of the Year.
Shout out to GameStop. So I picked up the
Mortar
New
store
Order.
of 2017.
Yeah, it was $10 for the New Order. I'm like, I'll pick it up. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
So, and it's not going to have any trade-in value, so I'm like, digitally is fine. So I picked it up on the Microsoft Store real quick, and I'm playing through it. So I got that. But I also finished Uncharted Lost Legacy. Finished and started, actually. I just played through that entire game. Really made me.
Did you do the open world sides thing or not?
Not really. No, I'm not interested in that open world. I mean, it was cool. I did like.
I mean, those are all puzzles, though.
Yeah. Excuse me. I did like the driving mechanic more in this one than I liked in 4. So.
I mean, I would have been bored, but once I realized there was actually puzzles involved in each one. Well,
section.
Not each sort of part that you get. I'm like, all right.
I got distracted, and I was distracted by them. I was like, oh well, I'll do this, and then you get wrapped into it.
But I'm like, no. I'm playing through this because I want to play the story. I'm like, I don't care about the side stuff. So, it was a great game. Actually, I'm not gonna call it DLC because it's like almost a full-fledged game at almost 10 hours of gameplay.
Considering the first one was like 10 hours. So.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job with this, and I like the dynamic with the two characters. What's her Nadine and Chloe. And I thought they were, at first I was like, I'm like, I'm not really liking these two characters. I'm like, and they buddied them up pretty well, and you get to see another character from
both of them.
Did you like the return?
I did like the return. I liked him better in this one.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, I was happy to see him.
Yeah, me too. I was happy to see him. So I really enjoyed the game. I was very happy with what they did. It really makes me wonder what they're going to do next in this franchise universe, because we've talked about it where Nathan Drake's done, but there's obviously other characters.
Well, Uncharted is not done.
Uncharted is not. Yeah,
but that universe will live on for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely they're working on.
And we did mention, but they do a good job with the making it a franchise that does not need a specific character as the head of it.
Well, I think you need to have that same vibe from the character, though. I think you need this, because I think Chloe filled in that role pretty...
Well, she's closely. Like a mirror image, kind of what Drake was.
I thought she was kind of the Nathan Drake of this story, but with Nadine
absolutely, of course.
Yeah, with Nadine there, it was kind of like... she wasn't Sully, that was for certain. So,
no.
But... All right, so that's what I've been up to.
Did you like the setting of the final scene, though? And how that was sort of a shout out to the greatest hits of the franchise?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I did like that. I liked all of that, like that whole last sequence there. They really got away from the supernatural aspect from the other games. Still, I expected that to show up in this, but I know, but I think I was expecting it to show up. So, but good game. Glad I played it. Like I said, I'm on to Wolfenstein now, and back to. Now that I'm back at work, I played Xenoblade Chronicles a little bit, so...
Nice.
Not much yet, but I've been very busy at work, so not much, but...
Okay.
Mike, what have you been up to?
A lot of Battlefront 2.
Really? I mean, okay, really? Really?
Yeah, the thing about this game is... Yeah, it's frustrating, because it could have been, really, really good. But... As it is, it's still okay. They turned off the microtransactions. They're still off, and that's good because the impetus to do that is so strong. I might have cracked and done it by now.
Yeah. Wow.
Now it's not too hard to get the heroes. That's not, you can do that after a handful of hours. But what is hard to do, so you can unlock all the heroes. It's not an issue. What is hard to do is upgrade all the different things you want to make them
the star
good.
Cards, right?
Yes, star cards. So there's classes, and I'm not a fan of the class system. Although as I'm getting better, I'm sort of seeing the point of it a little more. But when you first start with them, you're just going to struggle through each of them. And they basically make everything better. Like one will make your scope zoom farther for like the sniper class. The other will just like add health to your base health. Now, knowing that no one's buying this now, it does make it feel a little more fair and organic. But still, people who are ahead of you are ahead of you, and it takes a while to catch up.
It's with time, and
it's with time, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like what I always had a little bit of like, why is this isn't really fair. I understand progression, but like back when Call of Duty first introduced like, you know, kill streak bonuses, like why are you giving the advantage to people who already have the advantage? Like I don't understand that. And it's still that I do understand why people want to be rewarded for like playing well, but it creates like there's a top tier of like, you know, the first 10 names is like those are the people that got the shit. And the bottom tier is like if you can hold your own and like go even, maybe it's a win for now. It's a little tough. And I don't like also how they change heroes versus villains. I love the hero roster. I'm waiting to see some more. But heroes versus villains, to briefly describe how it was in the previous game, it would be 3 heroes with a group of like, I would say maybe 3 or 4 just normal infantry people against the other ones. And the heroes were VIPs, so the round was lost when they were all killed. So that means not only were they more powerful than like half of the people out there, but they were also more valuable. So that created some strategy. Like sometimes the heroes needed to be protected. They wanted to be hit and run. And also since there was a bunch of infantry in it, they couldn't just be out in the open because everyone would just shoot them from afar because most of the heroes don't have long range stuff. This version is just 4v4 only heroes, which makes it more like just stay in a group and a clusterfuck. And so it's not quite as like cerebral as it was before, and I kind of hope they bring that old mode back. All that being said, I can't stop playing it. And it looks great. You have great like if you're on Hoth, no matter who you are, even if you're a hero, you'll see like just snow accumulate on their people. You're in probably one of my favorite locations from the prequels. I forgot what it was called. Camino, the one where it's raining all the time, but you're in like those sterile, like the clone facility. I love that place, and it looks real cool. The rain reacts real nice on everyone too. And honestly, the thing that's most accessible at first is the starfighter battles. So if you want to start off and like have a chance,
Mike, is it more upsetting then? Isn't it more upsetting then that there's legitimately a good game here that was worked on, that was created, that has been now destroyed because of greed?
Well, the problem is it's not destroyed. It's still sold really well, and the
player
base
that well.
Was number 2 on the NPD last month. It's doing fine,
and that was only behind the game that was the best-selling game of the year.
Oh, I know.
So I mean, it's sold well enough, and the player base is obviously still there. So I wouldn't say it's destroyed like another game I'll talk about later, but there is a lot of potential here that's not tapped, and a little more thought, even in some of the systems, more than the microtransactions and the somewhat tedious progression system, could have made this like fantastic. It is disappointing in that sense for sure.
I didn't play the game, but it is disappointing to me that it sounds like they have a great. I mean, they learned their lessons from Battlefront 1 that they had to have the single player content.
I forgot. I didn't even mention that, and I did enjoy that. I liked how it expanded the universe. The way it did. It wasn't long or anything, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, and the multiplayer seemed like it had a lot of care and attention to just all the different aspects of battle. It's just that the EA greed. I even though they turn off the microtransactions, I can't in good faith right now.
Because they're going to turn it back.
I really can't. Right, I can't. Maybe down the road, when they're like, hey, look, we recognize the problems. We're coming up with a new fair business model. That's not pay to win, because that's the thing that irks me the most. If it was just cosmetic bullshit like League of Legends, Overwatch, I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem at all.
That's also kind of a reason why I'm playing it a lot now, because in this future they might turn it back on. So it's like, for now, it's earn your spot before it's pay to win.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I'm viewing it.
If it's still like that, then I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to wait for the new model. They need to completely redo the microtransaction bullshit. They need to go away with the star card bullshit, because, if it's strictly like, hey, you played this game way more longer than I have, and your, rocket jump is better than mine, no, fuck that. I'll wait until somebody else comes along and makes a good Star Wars game again.
Yeah, I will say, again, if you're looking for the most parity due to the Starfighter stuff, but the infantry, you're screwed more often than not.
Yeah. It was kind of funny, though, because this weekend I remembered I had a pre-order for the Battlefront 2 collection. I went to GameStop, and in my head I'm just like, ugh, like I really, like I'm thinking about what excuse I'm going to come up with, or if they want to push me to like put it on another game or anything like that. I'm like, okay, I got this whole like Venn diagram chart of like, if they say this, I say this. If they do this, I will say this. Because I don't really want to be confrontational. Like, it's just the holidays are over, retail sucks. I get it, but I want to cancel the pre-order. So I go up. Girl goes, oh, what can I do for you? I was like, I just want to cancel a pre-order I never picked up. She goes, oh, okay. What game? Battlefront 2. Not a single word. Not a single word, which maybe it's just because of the girl, was the specific employee there. But to me, that was quite unusual that she didn't even like try to be like, oh, really? The game's good. And, blah, 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 this, that, the other thing.
She's like, oh, this again.
She's like, totally understand. Like, it's like, all right. So, yeah, I thought that was fun.
All right. Tony, what have you been up to?
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well. Pretty hooked on that. I will say it's been getting progressively better. It started off real slow. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the first chapter is really rough in terms of like, okay, kind of been there, seen this, done that, in terms of like just the story beat, what they want you to do. Like, oh, here's a quest, go kill 10 rabbits, or some stupid thing in the starting zone. I'm like, okay, like you've been really good about not doing this stuff, so okay, whatever. But it's gotten a lot better in terms of just what the characters are doing, the story, where it's going, unconventional twists in terms of what I expect out of a Japanese RPG and stuff. So really growing on me. The battle systems, like, I don't want to say I've fully done it because I thought I did, and they threw another wrench in the mix. I'm just like, okay, all right, I think I got this now. Like, I'll just add that on to my like memory bank and be like, I just got to do that in battles. But it's getting a lot better. I think I'm like 30 hours in, which it's really meaty.
Yeah.
But supposedly it starts to like ramp up even more after this point. So
cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Corey.
I play a little Enter the Gungeon on Switch.
Oh, thank you for mentioning, because I did pick that up as well. As soon as you talked about it, I was like, you know what? I think that's a game like my brother and I could play, and a couple of my other friends could play. So I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up too. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a lot of fun. I've been eyeing it since it was on PS4. I was like, I think I want to play this game, but I'll just wait for now. I don't need to get it. And then it hit Switch. I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to get it. Like, maybe it'll go on sale. I was like, it's $15, whatever. I'll just get it. So I got that and just played it. And I do like to have those like roguelike type games that give you a little progression, even though you fail. You still have some
a type of progression.
Yeah, a type of progression. You're not, obviously you're not getting everything back that you ended with, but there is like, you feel like you've accomplished something in some ways, where like a true rogue like game, you're not accomplishing anything. You die, you're done.
Get good.
Yeah.
Get good at this.
But this, at least you feel like you've done something worthwhile in the next run. So I've been enjoying that. And that got me back into Dead Cells, which is also a roguelike game where you have progression. And that's on Steam, which I got because I was randomly gifted a $20 gift card, which I don't use Steam.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, and Dead Cells it's still in early access. So they've been changing it like constantly. So it's still going through a lot of changes. But that game is fantastic too, and it has that same progression where like you do feel like you're accomplishing things as you get further on, and the weapons are really fun in that as well. But no, both of those games are really good roguelike games, and highly recommend them if you just want to quick do a quick 15-30 minutes or something.
Yeah
right, Enter the Gungeon was pretty fun. I like the style of it.
I haven't done the multiplayer either. So
I haven't tried it either. I think this weekend I'll get a chance to. But
the bosses are really cool.
The bosses are so cool, and I just like the theme, because the gungeon is a play on gun dungeon. So everything you fight and do is related to guns somehow. Either the enemies themselves are bullets.
Yeah, it's almost like a shmup too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love because Binding of Isaac, which also had its like newest revision debuted on Switch. I love.
Yeah, I actually didn't get that one just because I didn't really like the theme.
Yeah, that's a thing where it's like, okay, that's really weird, but this one I think is more accessible.
Yeah,
and easier to digest.
The art style is fun. Yeah, the theme's cool.
Yeah, very good.
Cool. All right, let's get into our of the years then, guys.
Let's do it.
Kicking it off with our disappointing. I wonder if we'll have multiples here.
I think we might have a sweep here.
Of 2017, maybe swept. I don't know. Corey might have something else, but
I only my criteria, just to speak about criteria, is that I only put games on here that I've played.
Okay.
Well, I think that's what. Isn't that what everyone did, right?
No, I mean,
yeah.
I guess.
No, I didn't.
Oh, we all did.
Well,
okay.
I didn't.
That's why
I wasn't gonna hold it against you if you placed what we, Mike and I did on our list. I mean,
because I wanted to say Battlefront because I was hugely anticipating this game. I was very excited for it. I really wanted to get this game, but I didn't get it because of the poll fiasco. And I'll leave it at that. So I'm not going to say that because I actually didn't play it. So I don't want to just say
what is your most disappointing game?
My disappointing game is For Honor, and I think For Honor could have been really good. But it just died. It was here we are, and then no support and no player base. And
it's really funny you say that because I remember when it came out, I was watching, I think Walking something with Apple, and everybody was talking about that game. I was like, it does look pretty cool. Maybe I'll pick it up. But by the time I was like, okay, maybe I'm ready for this or whatever, because I think it came out right before the March madness of amazing games. It's just
Switch came out and sorry guys, I got better things to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just it's dead now.
And the problem is that it does not have a single player that's going to be anything worth playing. That game was solely based on a online player base that you're going to be going up against each other. But I love the idea of what it was. I thought the graphics were fantastic. It looked super pretty. And it was a very unique take on, a multi skirmish game, which we didn't really get to see so much. And you got just AI creeps basically going out there, and then you have your heroes, and it was a cool concept. And I really was hoping it was going to be good. And it played fine. It played well. It just died immediately, and so that's why it was my disappointment of this year.
Yeah, mine. I'll go next because I'm following the movie cast format. Mine was obviously Mass Effect Andromeda, which I talk about games on here how there's just no soul in certain games, and for me this has not getting technically glitched aside, getting all the glitches out of the way and gameplay stuff like that. It just doesn't have a soul. That universe just didn't have the same feeling as what I wanted from out of the first 3 games that I played in that series. I just didn't get that feeling in this, and I didn't care about these characters, and I think in the Mass Effect universe that's what you're supposed to do. Then I also found out about the ending of this game, and now I'm like, fuck that, I'm so happy I didn't play this goddamn garbage. And that is a bunch of bullshit. For those wondering, your mom's alive?
Sort of.
No, that's bullshit. She's been alive the whole time.
No, she's Nora Freeze.
Yeah, I know. Cryogenically frozen.
That's not really the ending either. That's a side thing you can discover.
And that's a tie-in that they'll never finish.
Well, that's well, I'll go into this now. This is my most disappointing of the year as well. And to me, the biggest disappointment is I did get some enjoyment out of this game. I would have liked to see that followed up.
Technically, combat-wise, Mike, it was very solid.
Combat-wise was good. There was a lot to do. The worlds were pretty big, although not all of it was that interesting. Some of it was, some of it wasn't.
It wasn't.
Jaw was a decent character. And Cora was okay.
No, she wasn't.
Well, she was okay because I romanced her.
Oh.
And that was a romance scene.
She was okay because I was able to
they really went over the top on the romance thing. They went over the top.
They didn't go over the top.
Everything they did in this game was just it just didn't. It's
but
we're going to just take the same game you guys played and hope you love this thing. And
the biggest problem was the rest of the crew. I would say for the most part was uninteresting, and they did not include enough new races to make it because it was a good new fresh start. Aside from the the
Was
glitches,
it?
which
Look
are
at the first
bad.
starts. There's no new races.
It's
in
a
this.
good. That's what I mean. It could have been like the story restarted in a
Dude,
way
we're both
that's.
in their disappointment of the year, guys.
Yeah,
And
I know.
we're arguing with each other here.
The story could reset the world in a way that I thought was kind of interesting, especially when you uncovered certain things that tied it back to why this Andromeda initiative happens to happen right before the Reapers fuck the world up, fuck the galaxy up or whatever. And I found that interesting. I thought that was good, and it was a good way to start the world over again. Except they didn't really do anything once they were there. There was just one new race, and that was it.
They teased the Quarians, and they're not coming. It's over with.
Well, yeah. Again, and that's what disappointing too, because again, you think back to Mass Effect 1, and it wasn't that great, really. And I sort of viewed this like that, as if this had been given a chance
I
to
thought
sort
Mass
of.
Effect 1's story was very good, though.
Combat-wise,
it wasn't good, but that carried along the story.
But I just wanted a chance for this to sort of get better, fix its issues, and address it. And obviously, it just died instead, and it just couldn't.
Yeah, I probably
there's no saving it now, because
if I knew that universe was going to be alive, maybe I would have finished that game maybe I would have run through it or something. But the universe is dead; it's never coming back. So it's never coming back, Mike.
Well, you guys, it's super disappointing.
Yes,
it's disappointing because I would have liked to see more, and it just disappointed too many people to do that.
Who do I have a bet with?
I have a bet with
me.
you.
I agree with you.
It's you and Mike, right? I have a bet with both of you on this game. Yeah.
We may have 1-2'd this though, because I remember getting in on this bet with you. I'm pretty certain we may have just paired up because I was.
Oh yeah, it might be 2v2. We'll have to go
think
back
it is a 2v2.
Because listening to that audiobook of Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and just knowing how things went down at actual BioWare, and just hearing the stories that are coming out from this.
I expect BioWare to be shut down shortly. The way the EA handles their properties.
It's just the thing is when playing this game, it's the only value could be that this sets up for something better, and you see that in how everything is set up and how they did things this will be okay, maybe rough around the edges, but we'll get it right with the next one. That you get that feeling while playing it, and to just be oh, never mind, people are too mad at this, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm betting on, because that's literally what they were being reported on, I think, at Kotaku and stuff, where anonymous developers, because obviously they still have their jobs at BioWare or EA, somewhere in EA, because they got broken up. We're like, yep, we're expecting to take a lot of flack, getting maybe 80-ish on Metacritic, and then just use the sequel to improve upon it. But after how everything played out this year, not even with just BioWare, this offshoot of BioWare being broken up, the whole thing with EA and Star Wars, I can't ever see Mass Effect coming back for a long time.
Yeah. Tony, what was your?
Mine was actually Persona 5, and not. Yeah, I know. Yep, Persona 5.
On my list.
No, it's
that's
there. It's on my list as well. But the thing is, when I thought about it, don't get me wrong, the game is a great game. It's very deserving of its Metacritic score. But when I thought about it, because I took the past week or two to really think about each game I played this year.
Yeah.
And what my final thoughts and feelings were on it at the end of the year, because in my opinion, I mean, this was a great year for gaming. Probably the best since, I don't know, 2006 or 7 maybe, when new systems were coming out and everything like that. But I love Persona. There's a lot of things to like about it. There's a lot of things to praise about it. But just in the amount of time it took for them to develop this game, because Persona 4 came out in 2008.
Yeah.
So it took them nearly 10 years, 9. It took them nearly a decade to get this game out. And thinking about that and looking at other games and seeing how far they're progressing in just one iteration in half the time, I just kind of expected, and here's, where you guys can point at me. My expectations of the game were probably maybe too high, in that because it had gone so long, it's been almost a decade since the last Persona game. What kind of crazy shit, are they going to have thought of for the gameplay? What kind of crazy shit are they going to think?
Don't forget, they did have a game in between. But...
No, they did, but I'm talking about numbered.
Progression. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not saying Catherine was a major game or anything, but that may have took development time away from Persona 5. Who knows?
Yeah,
but I mean, in general, I do agree that as far as steps from 4 to what 5 is, 5 is very much like 4.5 almost.
Right, exactly. And the biggest improvements were quality of life issues, where just the menus were faster. Yeah, exactly. Like all that stuff, the social links or confidant stuff, that was all streamlined, and they even gave you incentive to doing that, which is awesome, because unless you really cared about that stuff, I mean, right, it didn't matter. But I just really wanted them to progress and develop and refine or even reinvent the series in a lot of ways. So just in that aspect, it was disappointing, and
I can understand that.
But I mean, it's still a great
as much as the other Persona games, because I haven't even finished it yet. So
it's still a great game. It's just what I wanted / hoped for, and even in retrospect, what I
you're pulling a Jim here.
Yeah.
His
No,
last
yep, exactly. That's fine. That's fine. But it's still a great game. Still a great game.
Definitely.
All right, Corey, your surprise.
Sonic Mania.
Really? Ooh. Oh yeah, I guess that could be there. Yeah, game that I still haven't played through, but
they took they took Sonic and said, "Hey fans, you like Sonic? You know how to make games. Make a game." And they made a good Sonic game. Although it is based off of Sonic, original Sonic stuff, and there's a lot of the same things in there.
Good Sonic games.
Get the fuck out of here, Jim. You just get good at it. You're awful at this game. I saw you play it. Now I know why you don't like it. You were awful at Sonic games.
I'm a Mario guy.
Yeah, just as far as Sonic Mania is concerned, you take the Sonic team and give them a chance to make a Sonic game, and then you give random people, not quote air quotes here, random people to make a Sonic game, and the people that just are like the product and want a good Sonic game make a good Sonic game, and then the people who are paid to make Sonic games can't even make a good Sonic game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Sonic Mania is absolutely my surprise of the year because of that fact, and that they actually pulled off a good Sonic game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I could totally see it. I mean, I was skeptical because Sonic, not had the healthiest growth over the last decade or two. No. But I looked at the reviews are great. I was like, you know what, you got to purchase that of me, and I still haven't finished. I think about the second to last level. I got to do that at some point. It is really good. Love what they could accomplish. Especially as you said, fans. These people were fans. It's not like they've been developing these for decades, like the actual Sonic team has. So it's just kudos to them, props to them. It sounds silly, but I hope the Sonic team can actually learn from
these guys. Yeah,
right.
Oh, absolutely. And it was too late for Sonic Forces because I was already in the works. But now that they've seen Sonic Mania, it's like, all right, guys, maybe you can collaborate a little bit here and just actually do what fans want you to do and not furry shit here.
Yeah. All right. My surprise was Horizon Zero Dawn. Because actually I was down on this game when I was looking at the early previews of this thing. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. And I remember talking about it in Slack, actually. I was like, this game is going to be garbage. Hot garbage. And then it was great. I mean, it was a great game. Ultimately, it did not make my top 3, just so you all know. I'll tell you that now.
Oh.
But, yeah, I mean, there's so many great games this year. Ultimately, it was because the repetitiveness of the monster hunting. it was fun to do that, but it was very repetitive. I really enjoyed the story and the world, but I felt like I was whistling quite a bit, waiting, and I felt like that got a little bit long.
So
tooth
I never did it that way.
Yeah, so that's why I did it. I don't know why. So for me, but it was a surprise. It was a very good game. I mean, really surprised. It looks amazing. Holy shit, amazing.
I think it's the best first party looking game from Sony. Even above. Well, we'll see how Last of Us 2 turns out. But I mean, this blew my expectations away. And the thing is, I think Corey and I were the ones that were up on this game from the very beginning, from that very first trailer. But then when we're like, wait a second, this is made by the studio that gave us Guerrilla Games. That was oh no, oh man, really?
But
it's that burger looks amazing. Oh, that's from McDonald's. Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same exact thing. But you know what?
Pizza Hut commercials.
Kudos to them because. I mean, they went from the first game was fucking Shell Shock Nom 67 on PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Then we're from that to the Killzone series for almost a decade of just Killzone games, and they came out with a game that is easily Game of the Year material on its own and stuff like that. Like, just had really strong competition this year. But like last year, I wouldn't have had a problem giving it Game of the Year, along with like Overwatch or something like that. But kudos to the team. Since you mentioned it, Jim, this was tied for my surprise of the year. I'll get into my other one. But yeah, I loved it. Didn't expect it to be as good as it was after we found out the developer. The graphics were amazing. The main character Aloy, I really liked her. I think she's my favorite Sony. Right, I'm sorry, Aloy. I know it's
a terrible.
It makes
name.
me mad because it should be Aloy. Yeah. I know it should be Aloy. Like it's supposed to. Right, it should be Aloy, but okay, Aloy. Yeah. She's great. The beast, the dinosaur, like the robot dinosaur, was amazing. I loved that aspect of the game. It just, to me, I really hated the human combat. I hope they focus less on that in the sequel whenever you get it. And the story, while it was interesting what they did, and I'll recognize that they did a unique twist on the usual post-apocalyptic stuff. It didn't play out the way I had thought the game to be when they initially unveiled it, and I kind of actually wish they left it up to like, hey, you're just trying to survive in a robot dinosaur infested world instead of like the tribe aspect, because I was like, I didn't really feel like that kind of stuff played out very well and whatnot. Yeah. But no, awesome game. So tied for that for surprise was Nier Automata for me. I'm just mentioning because it didn't make my top 3, but I love Platinum games. But what's his name? Yoko Tano, I think his name. He's very controversial in Japan, just in what he does and his expectations and stuff like that. So I was kind of cautious about the game. I never even played the first Nier because I was just like, I don't know if it sounds like my cup of tea, but this game just reviewed so well, and they got Platinum to do the action elements of the game and whatnot. So yeah, I'll try it. But it really blew me away in terms of what I came to expect out of what you can tell in a story, especially in a video game, because the action is serviceable. It's not bad. But compared to Platinum's other works with, Bayonetta or even just, Transformers or something, it's not as deep or rewarding. I mean, once you kind of get the beats for it, it's same thing. Same combos, you exploit that same kind of stuff.
I really enjoyed that combat system. I really did.
No, and you did. That's great. I love that because I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, I wanted more because...
Oh, it makes me interested in Bayonetta. Definitely
right.
Does, so.
Yeah, definitely. But just the story, I mean, I love robots. The whole game is about robots. Had some great story sequences. It's just the way they made you play the game almost 3 times to get the full grain of the story. Yeah. It's kind of off-putting. But the thing they did at the end, towards the end, was really unique. And it's one of those things that makes me think about how we can use video games as platform to tell stuff or make people feel emotions that you could not get in any other medium. Can't be done in books, can't be done in movies.
I love
stuff like
that last credit sequence.
Yeah. Don't spoil it. But yeah, that. I mean, I will remember that for a long time.
Yeah. I'm interested to know what you chose. I didn't even ask. I didn't talk about that with you yet. So
yeah, I'll talk with you about it.
All right, Mike.
My surprise was also Horizon, actually.
Oh, cool.
All right. It's just, again, I probably seemed the least interested in this going in. I thought it'd be something kind of like Recore, which did that even come out?
Yeah, Recore's out. I actually started playing that.
The reboot of Recore even came out.
I almost started playing that.
I mean, I grouped both these games sort of together as all these quirky little robot things. It's whatever, screw that. But then the more I heard about it, the more oh, there might be something here, and then. Again, this is one of those games that actually reviews sort of convinced me to get it because it just across the board was so well reviewed, and I'm glad I did because to me the story, I'm glad the story didn't go how I expected it to. I was afraid some Matrix bullshit was going to happen.
I can see that. Yeah.
So I was real happy with it, and the action in the game I really enjoyed because I guess I didn't abuse this like whistle move that everyone else did. To me, I just always tried to override like something and then like just have them fight each other. And I always liked that sort of like strategy of like getting enemies to like do part of your fight for you. And I just really enjoyed it more than I ever thought, and you might hear me talk about it more.
Okay. All right, now we're going to get into our top 3 games of 2017. Number 3, Corey, kick us off.
Number 3 is Destiny 2. I do really enjoy that game. No.
I'm surprised by that, to be honest. I am very surprised by that.
Yeah, no, the thing with Destiny 2 is that
it's just like Destiny
a very
1.
flawed game, but the social interactions and community around the game really elevates it above
what it is.
Yeah, what you have there. So the game isn't what Destiny Beyond, Taken King and Beyond was at all, and you notice that much quicker than I thought you would, because first 20 hours I was definitely all in on that game. Even like just like every day or every other day, logging in, hanging out with friends, talking to people online, and teaming up, doing strikes, doing raids, whatever. It was just like that's what Destiny is to me, and it's just not enough there. And they took away a lot of the things that they added to make the game better in Destiny 1. They took that away in Destiny 2, and they tried to make it much more casual, which in this case did not service it for the people that are fans of Destiny 1 and what they had done before. But as far as the games that I played this year, it still ranks super high because I probably put the most time in that game just because I played it with like my friends and stuff. But as far as what it is and my enjoyment, definitely top 3 for me. Yeah. So number 3.
It's interesting. Did you not to talk about it too much because it's not related, but no, it is related, but it's not like the topic of conversation at this point. But did you see the article that claimed to had stated that Bungie pretty much pulled a same thing with Destiny 1, where like they only had like a year and a half to put together Destiny 2.
I saw that. Jason Schreier broke some news about that stuff. So
it's just like
it's amazing to really learn from their past.
Yeah, it's like, come on, dude. Like you just learned this lesson. You're fresh off of it too. Like it's not like you made another game in the meantime. Like,
and it's sad too because like they had this event, The Dawning, which is their Christmas winter event, like they do in ongoing games and the such. And I actually never even logged in to check it out. Which is
I was curious because I know recently you haven't talked about it much, and I wasn't sure if that's because like you knew like the rest of us weren't positive on the game and you just didn't want to even bring it up, but. I wondered if it was because you kind of fell off.
Yeah, no, I just think there's other things. Like at this point, I mean, I'd rather go in and do some Overwatch if I'm gonna play a game. So, I'm hoping the DLC is gonna not fix, but just like give me more reasons to go in and stuff because the last DLC did not really do that. So, but like I said, I do enjoy, and the combat is still some of the best combat in any shooting game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Number 3 for me was Nier. So really, like I said, I just finished that game, but I'm very happy. Very happy that I actually played through it this year before the end of the year to get a taste. Or actually, I didn't really finish it during last year. I finished it this year, but great game. I actually enjoyed it. While I thought the twist was a little predictable for me, I overall really enjoyed it. I liked the combat quite a bit. I liked switching between a shmup and an action RPG. I really liked that, and. Yeah, there were multiple branching you have to replay through, but the easy mode chips, believe it or not, I enjoyed more with that because I'm like, oh, well, it lets you have fun with the game because you're like, I'm just going to press up and I'm going to wreck everything. So it was pretty cool. And then
sometimes you just want to have that feeling of like just being overpowered.
You just want to be overpowered sometimes, fun. It's kind of like, it's funny, it's amazing to compare it to this, but especially because Devil May Cry was not easy, but Devil May Cry during the regular mobs, you feel like an overpowered, like badass. I got the same feeling in this game from that, like the same idea.
Yeah, that exactly is what Platinum does. That's what they're meant for. Like Bayonetta is the same way. You fight regular dudes, and you're just like, I am in this invincible witch demon. But then they throw these bosses at you. You're like, okay, well, let me see what I can do about this.
Yeah,
and you still,
so it had a nice vibe. I mean, I really liked that. But yeah, so it was number 3 for me. Tony?
Number 3 for me was actually Persona 5. So just talk about strengths. It still does a lot of stuff great. The art style is just so well done. The graphics, even though it's not like pushing the limits of the PlayStation 4 by any means, because it's still at heart a PlayStation 3 game, everything looks smooth and crisp. I think they
awesome. Oh, Nier's music was awesome, by the way, too.
Yeah, exactly. Both of those, both of those games. Yeah,
it's cool though because you go from Persona games from PS2 era, and now you get a PS3 era game on PS4.
Right.
It's like, wow, it's like what? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's like what could a theoretical PlayStation 4 build, like original build, like look like? But I think they found that nice balance of art style and technical capabilities and stuff, without being super, millions and millions of polygons like Final Fantasy 15, character models and stuff.
Probably the best UI in a game.
Oh yeah, the user interface is slick. A lot of the characters are very good.
I enjoyed. I really enjoyed that whole aspect.
Yeah, the characters are great. The music, awesome. I could listen. I listen to the soundtracks for that. On a regular basis. So it's just awesome game.
Cosplayed as a character.
Cosplay as a character. It's just. It's not a multiplayer game, but like within the community of Persona, you get that camaraderie. Like, you're a Persona fan, I'm a Persona fan. Like, let's talk about our shared love. It's
they do have a like, hey, what's people doing? What are people doing here and stuff?
Yeah, and that's the thing that I really like because even within the story, that's what they touch about. It's very modern game where it's like, how do things like social perceptions, especially with the advent of social media, how does that impact society? And I'm not saying they did it an elaborate job or anything, but it does make you think, especially given things that panned out later on in the year. It really makes me go, wow, like, were the Phantom Thieves behind this shit? I don't know.
Change of hearts.
I don't want to make a joke out of it, but that's honestly, it's like, wow, that's that's crazy.
True.
But
I mean,
an anime is coming too for this.
Yeah, exactly. And for those people that can't commit, I mean, my real big gripe was I felt like it overstayed its welcome just a little bit too long.
That made number 2 on my list, by the way. That's my number 2.
Okay, awesome.
So I can just tell you right now, like, that's the reason why it wasn't better than. I mean, it's really good, but it's just a little long. Like,
it's just a little bit too long. But
5 hours.
Yeah, if you're not into that, I would hopefully the anime is going to be it's going to get all the awesome aspects, and you don't have to dedicate 80 hours of your life to it.
Yeah, this was like number 2 on my list because I played the hell out of this game and loved it. I loved getting all the social circles going, the extra the enhancements you get from battle for that really made it worthwhile. At some point I really wanted to go back and replay it. I saw it on sale in Best Buy right now for $23, and I'm like, ooh, here we go. I don't know, but I've played so many RPGs recently. In fact, my entire list is RPGs. But Persona 5 for me made number 2 because of how long I played it. I played 85 hours of that game. It's probably the most time I spent in any game this year, and just loved it. I actually loved the soundtrack. I actually listen to that soundtrack still on occasion when I'm at work. I just throw it on because it's that good.
See, Jim, I'm so happy. Not only did I convert you with Fire Emblem, I think me and Corey converted you with Persona, so you're a Persona fan now. Like, it's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
Yeah. Mike, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Sonic Mania.
Hey.
Ooh.
Yeah. Again, like obviously, I was a Sonic fan, and I played through this game with Sonic as Sonic.
I don't know how this didn't make your biggest surprise because there hasn't been a good Sonic game in like.
It wasn't as surprising because once I saw like what it was, I'm like, whenever this comes out, this is gonna be great. But I just didn't know when it would come out, and it did take a little while. But
you were like, oh, it's gonna get delayed. I was like, I don't know.
And no, it's the thing about each of these levels. And the Sonic games are some of my most replayed games ever because they're pretty accessible and like you can play it again and go for emeralds.
They're a lot shorter than you remember them being as well.
Yeah, and you can like do something different, like go for the additional challenge of like getting the emeralds, which me and my brother did with 2 players in Sonic 2, which is really hard to do because you have to coordinate that, get the rings thing, you got to have enough rings, the right spots. And we did it for the first time ever, like last summer, I think. Which was like a big deal, and that was real cool. And I always have a little love for like some of those retro things. Sometimes I go on retro kicks like that, and this game just hit that, and like so it got that and made it better. Like you would play these levels that were like, oh, the beginning is the same as these old levels. Like, oh, I remember that, but there's a little more animation. Everything looks a little brighter and better. and then things change up in like some very interesting ways. Like, oh, this is how that level would be like just expanded on and made like just more, and that's what happened here. So, to me, it's just like a very good trip down memory lane, but more like there's enough new here to make it very interesting, and it was like legitimately what Sonic fans have been waiting for like 20 years. So I really enjoyed it, and I played through it with most of the characters. Well, I beat the game with all 3 characters, and I'm working on getting the emeralds for Tails and Knuckles still, because some of that is a little rough to do. But I did it with Sonic, and I'm just glad. And I'm probably going to go back and play it some more, and just add it to the other Sonic games or something. I could replay forever, really. Yeah. So yeah, it's number 3 for me.
Cool. Corey, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Wolfenstein 2.
Nice.
That game.
That's why I really want to play the first one now and get to that game, because everybody's talking about it like crazy.
Yeah, it's really good. I still think I might like the first one better, but as far as what this game does, is it builds on that, and I love the setting. I'm a big fan of the World War II setting. Anytime you can kill Nazis, I'm all for it. Go for it. Let's do it. Here you get like a alternate reality where the Nazis win, and you have to deal with that. And it's really good take on that trope with the not necessarily trope, but it's a very overdone, as we said before. Like the World War II thing is very overdone, and it's just a refreshing take on that. The weapons are really cool. Like they make you feel like a badass, and like the dual wielding is probably the best dual wielding I've done in any game, just because you can dual wield shotguns and auto rifles or scout rifles, and basically just have like a long range weapon and a short range weapon, and just plow through enemies. And some of the art work is great. It's the art direction's cool. There is a moment in this game that will just be, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, it's probably like the most shocking moment in a game. I'm trying to think if there's been a moment in a game that's been more shocking, but
people are saying, I have no idea what it could possibly be, but as people are saying that, it's like, yeah, it's wow. I gotta play this game.
Yeah, so it's really good. Like I said, it makes you feel like badass, and that's what I really wanted from this game. You just mow down Nazis and shit. So number 2.
Cool. Mine was Persona. Tony.
Super Mario Odyssey.
Great game.
Yeah, lovely game. It's is one of those games that Nintendo just hasn't done. I know, Mike, like your big gripe with the later 3D games was they tried different things and never got back to the 64 formula. Whereas I feel this game, out of all of them, definitely takes most of its inspiration from Super Mario 64 and just the way the game plays and what they're wanting you to do and expect you to do. And they just throw so many awesome mechanics at you because they literally take what you know about the Mario franchise and like, hey, remember this, this is awesome, this is cool. Remember how you can do this?
Was just awesome.
Yeah, the nostalgia factor. Hey, right, it's awesome, but it's not like totally overdone either. It's done in a way where they feed you bits and then bigger chunks at certain times without spoiling things. But it's just really great. So interesting. I mean, just if anybody had told me like, yeah, Mario's gonna have this mechanic one day where he throws his hat and whatever it lands on, he's just gonna capture it and then possess it. It
doesn't sound like Mario.
I would be what? Yeah. That doesn't sound like fun. What are you talking about? That sounds creepy.
Get the fuck out of my Mario game.
Yeah, get the fuck out of my head, Mario. But it's just so much fun. It's so creative. The levels are awesome. The soundtrack is really catchy too because they do this wonderful blend of old and new. The ability to do just a lot of really crazy things in a Mario game, and just it's a lot of fun. I mean, the whole time you're just like, at least I found myself smiling, grinning at ear to ear because it's like, yeah, that's fun and that's happy and it's a feel good place. Because I feel like in today's world, which is games and graphics and stories having evolved, there's some times where you're having fun with the game, but how often are you you find yourself smiling at it and stuff like that. So.
Fun game.
It seems like it's accessible to all ages.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I have
all ages.
A client that I went to, and his kid who's 5 years old. He was telling me that his kid who's 5 years old beat Mario Odyssey.
Wow, really? That's impressive. I mean, that game is
that's
not
impressive. Yeah, because I watched my cousin who's 8, my nephew who's 8 try it, and he was struggling a little bit with it. And it's not very.
Yeah.
There's certain sections that are tough.
Yeah.
But
That's cool though.
that almost ultimately that left. It was between that and Nier for me in number 3. It's so tight. That was so a tough decision.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Well, one disclaimer is I haven't played that or Zelda yet. I'll just say that right now. So
you can't make put them on your list. Yeah.
No, I can't put them on my list. So my number 2 is gonna actually be Horizon.
Okay.
And there's a tiebreaker going on between 1 and 2 that had to actually do with DLC.
Yeah.
And the DLC for Horizon was good, but it didn't blow me away like the DLC. At least, even though it's not even here, all of it that's making me excited. But yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that later. But again, Horizon. Again, I got more, I think, out of the combat than you guys did, just because I tried the whistle like once or twice. I'm like, this is stupid. I don't need to do this. I rather once I was able to upgrade my override thing and like take the animals over, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Try to do this every time. I'm just gonna try to sneak behind one and do it, and go from there. And I had some fun. I had some challenges, and I really enjoyed it. And again, I really liked the way the story went out. I know the tribes. I can sort of understand the weakness with like the tribes, but like, you know, you always get tribes when you do a post-apocalyptic world anyway. They're just different types.
Yeah, I mean,
you get groups of people.
Yeah.
Sure.
The disconnect for me there was like your initial tribe, the Nora, was it?
Yeah, are more primitive than
the Nora, like
a lot of the
primitive. Totally understand. And if that were the case, if all the tribes were primitive and just had their different beliefs, like one was an angry, one was peaceful, one was whatever, I would have been all for that. But it just felt like the Nora were a joke to the other tribes. It was just like, you guys are fucking pathetic.
I mean, yes and no. I feel like all the other
we have
tribes,
a civilization. We have the city. And you guys
I think all the
living
other
in
tribes
huts.
had their own sort of like biases against the other ones. Like they would all like, because I mean, the Nora obviously represents sort of like a Native American type of ideal, where like if it were up to them, they probably would still be doing that.
Yeah.
In the face of like cities kind of next to them, and so I mean I sort of looked at it that way. I didn't mind it that much. The humans could use a little work. I think that combat, I wouldn't want to like move away from them. I would just want them to be better in the future.
Yeah, if they got better, I mean that would be another thing. I just felt the AI was just so. Even the whistling stuff aside, it just. I remember the one mission where you literally get a not a machine. Is it machine gun? I forget.
It's essentially a minigun.
Yeah, essentially a minigun. And come on, they just like were coming out. I felt bad. I honestly felt bad. I wanted to be okay. I'll take you guys home with my bow because this is just not fair. But yeah, that's just my personal thing.
Yeah.
But no, I I thought it was a good mix of combat and story, and explored it. And again, I was surprised. And I actually did like the story all the way through. I was afraid something at the end would piss me off, but it really didn't. So that way, it's my second favorite game of the year.
Corey, you're number 1.
So speaking of Horizon's my number 1.
Nice.
I kind of stayed quiet for this whole time just because I wanted to see what you guys are saying. And as far as Horizon goes, it was the most engrossed I was in a game this year. When I bought the story like full all in on that, I think it was fantastic. I went and tried to find every little piece of like lore text that they had and audio that they had to get more of the lore. I think that really does help a lot to give you context as to what's going on in the world. It's a shame that not everything is like easily accessible. Like some of it has to be searched out and actually you do need to find it and look for it where it's not just given to you. But that aside, I think that the story for me was a great take on the post-apocalyptic world, and it gave context to why you have robot dinosaurs that made sense. Like it wasn't just some like, hey, robot dinosaurs, here you go. Like awesome, I love robot dinosaurs. It's like there's context to it, and it is interesting when you get to the point where they kind of explain like what happened and like, wow, you're not anywhere near like that time period. This is way in the future. Like they tried to restart it, it failed, and it's been going on for a while, and this is finally at the point where you're actually now starting to rebuild that civilization, and it gave context to why like grass is actually propelling these robots to to be energized or whatever, have energy or be alive.
Yeah.
For me, the combat also was amazing because it gave you opportunity to do whatever you wanted. So if you felt like the easiest thing to do in this situation was to whistle and kill them, you could do that. Or if you wanted to pull out traps and set up different techniques wherein like chain reactions, you could do that. You could take override an enemy or a robot and have it go after them. I just felt like there were so many opportunities for you to actually approach the combat in different ways that it was always interesting. I do agree with you a little bit, Tony, where the combat against the humans just felt like it was the same as.
Yeah, I didn't like that aspect of the game. I thought that was repetitive, but
the same
as
I
what?
didn't mind it as much. It just felt like it was the same every time you encountered them. Like every time you encountered humans, there wasn't that same aspect of approaching it and however you wanted. Like when you fought the robot dinosaurs, you could do whatever you wanted. Like I was saying, set the traps, you do all this stuff. With the humans, they kind of didn't have that opportunity. You didn't have the different parts of the dinosaurs that you could break off and then just go and use against them.
I would agree with that heavily because, that's the thing is every time I came upon like a major dinosaur type enemy, and they had a good variety of them, I had to think, okay, how am I best going to use what I have in the environment that I'm in to take this thing down, and how am I going to do it? Like, probably need to get rid of that rocket launcher first, or, the aiming, whatever.
You were targeting different areas of of them, and also there was like a hunting aspect too, where like you could figure out how these animals behave and then use that to your advantage as well. Mm-hmm. And I love that aspect of it. Yeah. And as well as using the pieces that fall off. Like you can use some of the stuff, like the weapons that these animals have. You could actually use them and like have that mini gun and stuff and just like blow things away. I did appreciate that. And like I said, the story for me was fantastic. And like my favorite story of this year as well. I think that it nailed it as far as
I would say that
goes.
too.
Yeah.
So too many stories this year.
Yeah, and I like the performances. I do like the performances, and there are things in that game that you can miss that actually have a pretty big impact. That I felt like I know I mentioned to you, Jim, that like you could learn about certain characters, and then if you go back to certain places, it changes depending on what you've done in the world. So I thought that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about. I'm not disagreeing with the story. Like I still did like the story a lot. It's just. I had wanted it to play out a little differently, or whatever.
Right.
But,
I think it goes back to expectations.
Yeah. No. It wasn't like a huge miss for me. It was just like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. But the thing is, they did live off on an interesting note, and and you know what? I'm still on board in sequel day one. Absolutely, no hesitation at all. But it's interesting because 3 of my favorite games this year all have to do with like a post-apocalyptic world with robots in them. And they all have their own various reasons on why and stuff like that, which it's just weird that
it's like the theme. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Well, every game you've talked about so far.
Yeah.
Even the surprises.
Just like in the movies, it's all about like an old guy and a younger girl.
My number one's probably Tony and I could probably go together on this one at this point in time. It's no question. We both did a spoiler cast on this, just the two of us. Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I'm just taking a shot in the dark that's yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So while the game I would not give a perfect score to, again, the further away I wouldn't. There are aspects of Zelda that I want in the game. I want the dungeons. I want more dungeons, and I do want more. Talking about story, I would like them to enhance the story in the next game without a doubt. Other than that, though, I got to like live out, I guess would be like a childhood dream to experience like the world of Hyrule in its vastness that you can see. Like not just like what you got with Ocarina of Time, but like a massive world where go anywhere that you see. Promise is completely fulfilled. I'm not an open world fan, but because of the invested time I have in Zelda, it was awesome for me to experience this. Like and you literally could go anywhere you want. I mean, you can see it, you can go there. That I don't know of a game that made that promise that fulfilled it. I don't know. Is that like that in Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, until you get to the water, because they're always on islands.
Well, the water.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's...
in this game, there are islands in this game that you can get to in the water. And
I mean like the whole universe is like on an island.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean that's what we have here. Once you get to the water, you can see just water.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was my game of the year without a doubt. I mean, they did a fantastic job with the game. Like I said, I want to see a couple things added to it, maybe lessen the breakage amount of weapons. But minor gripes that
Would you want them to eliminate that mechanic altogether and just go to like hoarding weapons
I
or
feel like
upgrading as needed?
I feel like the durability could have been upped on things maybe,
But you still want them to break eventually?
I don't know how the balance would have been in that game without that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm worried about.
Right. So just speak briefly on that, and then I'll get if you're finished,
yours,
or whatnot.
Go ahead. Yeah.
With the weapon durability, because that is probably the most controversial aspect of Breath of the Wild, because people, and I don't want to go back to everything again, but I think people get attached to things, and especially in a game where like you have weapons, you get very attached to them. Like I like this spear, or I like this gun, or whatever, and I just want to use this for the rest of the game. I think most people fall into line with that, barring the exception of like loot-heavy games like Borderlands or something where, or Diablo, where, you'll use the best thing that you get until you get the next best thing. Whereas with Zelda, I mean, the thing is, if they didn't have the durability system in place, just with the way the game is designed, you could just stumble upon a high-powered weapon and use it to trivialize like the rest of the game. And, some people might be like, I don't care about that then, that's fine with me. But, it could, then maybe people be like, oh, this game is way too easy and blah, blah, blah. Because I don't know about you, Jim, but I found this to be the most difficult Zelda game
hands down.
Since the NES days.
Down. One of the most difficult
I felt
games.
embarrassed by the amount of times I was dying in this game.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it does keep track of with one of the newer features of, I think it's the DLC exclusive. The one thing will show you literally on the map your progression from start to wherever you currently are. I think it tracks up to the last 200 hours of where you're going in the world. It plays this like little line, and it's funny seeing it because it even does when you're teleporting and stuff like that across the map. But it records when you die because you'll see like a little skull and Link dying sound. Oh man, I'm like, yeah, that's probably where I fought the Lionel first.
Oh yeah.
Like a dozen times there. But yeah, I mean the game. I mean, I've always been a Zelda fan since the original one on the NES. It was just, and I even think I don't know for sure, but I want to say the original Zelda was the first game of its time where it allowed you to explore a map. It wasn't just level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and that was the order that you play the game. It was literally, hey, here's this world, go explore it, and we're not even going to give you the sword. You have to physically step into this cave and pick it up because you could just go and not get that sword. You can play the game without it. I don't know how you do it, but you can. People have done it. But this game just lived upon that promise where it just literally lets you do anything, and just being able to go anywhere, do what you want to do in the order that you want to do it, justifies the move to an open world game. Because like Jim, I don't necessarily really care for open world games. Certain ones I will, like Fallout. I'm a big fan of. Even Metal Gear Solid 5, I think they did a great job with the open world. In Final Fantasy 15, given more time, I think that open world would have been very good as well. But this game just took any expectations I had about open world system and just smashed it. Like, this is how you can do it. This is how it can be, and not just the old philosophy of, hey, you climb the tower, unlock this map or this section of the map, and we're going to fill a billion things on your mini map for you to like points of interest. And it's just kind of a checklist of, all right, let me go here. Let me do this. Let me get this quest done kind of thing, where just honestly overwhelming. Whereas with Zelda, they tease you with the horizon of, what's that off in the distance? What's on that mountain? I mean, that seems like an interesting place for like a cemetery or something like that, and you just naturally want to go there. And then on the way to that place, you might turn and see this other thing where it's like, ooh, should I try that now, or did I say that for later? And I mean, even just the way the map lets you put multiple markers for you to guide your way and stuff like that. But just all the mechanics, awesome. The climbing, like being able to climb, and not only just climb, because you could climb in a lot of other games, but the introduction of the paragliding mechanic, being able to quickly climb and then go to your next point, I think is quintessential for making it work. Because if you had to climb everything and then climb your way back down and then run to the next location, I don't think it would be as looked upon kindly. But being able to just, soar to the next location, everything was just amazing. And what I really appreciate Nintendo doing with this one was they smashed so many traditional Zelda conventions. And some of them I totally agree on. Like I think
I like some of those, but yeah.
But for the most part, they totally took a lot of built-in expectations and just smashed them. I mean, Link doesn't even have a hat in this game, and that's been a key part of his character for, 30 years now? Yeah. I mean, imagine if they're like, yeah, Superman, you don't have a cape anymore, and that's the new thing. It's, like Batman doesn't have a cape.
They did that, actually.
Yeah, they did.
No,
DC would do that, but
it's on that level where,
Black Suit Superman did not go over well.
Right, exactly. So, I applaud them and admire them for taking a huge risk, because so many parts of this could have gone wrong or just not okay with the fan base and ruined, one of their most premier intellectual properties. So
and the buzz going into it too was like, oh, it's getting delayed again. It's getting delayed again. It's
exactly. And I was adamant, like, nope, they haven't delayed a Wii U game in a long time. And I think I talked about it listening to the podcast. I think I was like, oh, my expectation of 2015 is going to be the new Zelda Wii U game, and then the same thing the next year. Oh, 2016 Zelda, and it's just like, oh, this thing is never coming out. Is that problematic? Does that mean
right?
Problems with the game? And I tried to subvert my expectations for that, where it's just like, okay, I'll just play it when I play it. But then going up to the new launch of the new system, the rumblings of the critical response. I mean, they had like NDA obviously, but everybody was heavily teasing how good the game was. I mean, they were being like, what? Like, I remember, I think Jason Schreier just tweeted, wow, simply wow. And everybody knew what he was talking about because, it's pretty obvious. But yeah, it's one of those games where I can point to that to any person who's like, yeah, I don't know anything about video games, or I am interested in getting a new game. What should I play? It's like, that's quintessential. It is a perfect representation of what the medium has to offer.
Yeah, it's great game. All right, Mike, number one.
My number one game, by a small margin, is Injustice 2.
Yeah.
So the
just
first
hour-wise,
Injustice,
you have to say it was better. Like, you probably put way more hours in.
Yeah, it's the only game really that's held my interest throughout the majority of the entire year.
I think this was Wombat's Game of the Year, wasn't it?
I don't even know who that is.
From CADcast.
But again, like we talked actually in the movie cast about how Justice League cartoon is like, oh, that's like great superhero stuff, and story wise, and even for the most part, voice actor wise, this is a continuation sort of that universe. So that's big check right there. You get one of the best stories. I don't think this story itself is as good as the previous game, but it's still like head and shoulders over other stuff in the genre. Obviously, you have Conroy as Batman. You've got George Newbern, who's like the second Clark Kent Superman voice. You get an interesting story where Clark Kent is like full on bad. You get a continuation from the last game, and just playing through this story enough alone is just like, all right, that's cool. Good superhero stuff. And then we get this new mechanic here that at first I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. Where we have this gear put into a fighting game that changes the way, first of all, superheroes, which have iconic looks, why would you want to change how they look? And also, you take note Battlefront where you can't do aesthetic changes, wrong. Anyway, and it adjusts stats like, oh, no one wants that. But they did it, and it turns into like a huge selling point for this game. Suddenly, you have this customization that like brings you back to the days of when you would have to like buy all the different colors of like the Batman action figures or stuff like that. It's like mix it, and you can mix and match, and everyone, not quite everyone, but there's so many possibilities. Everyone's Batman looks a little different, or their Superman looks a little different, and you're like, and there's shaders, all these combinations, and you're like, suddenly there's this whole metagame of just like, how do you want to build your characters? And these are iconic characters you remember from like, growing up, and all this together creates this interesting new experience here. And of course, if you play competitively online, you get the aesthetics, but not the boosts. Meanwhile, the boosts are used to play this almost unprecedented amount of single-player content in a fighting game, where that is used to fight like bosses and arcade modes and different challenges that come up to you. So there's so much to do in this game, and it's just, and it goes on. And the next thing we know, that now we're getting this DLC, and the Ninja Turtles are going to be in it. And for me, that pushed it over, because it's just like, talk about action figures you want to customize. I remember them too.
Yeah.
And it's just, and for me, again, like, I know not everyone is a fan of the NetherRealm fighting mechanics, but the last Injustice, I think its accessibility is better than the Capcom style. Because I got into that, and I've played Capcom games for a long time, but I never, like, got into the mechanics of it like I did here for the last game. So now I can play this online and win, like, 55% of the time. I have no chance of doing that in something like Soul Calibur or any of the Capcom games. I get wrecked all the time. I just can't get a handle of it. So for me, this has to be my number one game, because I've been playing it all year. I love most aspects of it. It surprised me too. It made me something that I knew I would not like. I turned into something I knew I'd like. And I'm still looking forward to more content coming from it, because Ninja Turtles are coming, and I know it's a little sticky for me to like actually include DLC when rating a game sort of overall, but I'm using that kind of as a tiebreaker with Horizon.
Yeah, that's totally fine, because I mean, here's the thing, like, just real quick, I mean, with Smash Brothers, I mean, when they get the guest characters for Brawl in Sonic and Snake, I was like, that's awesome. That was a DLC, but then, you know, expectations were raised for the Wii U 3DS game, and, you know, they brought Mega Man into the mix and Pac-Man. You're like, oh man, that's awesome. They didn't stop there. They're like, hey, here's our DLC characters. Freaking Ryu and Bayonetta are coming to the series. It's like mind-blowing. And here's the thing. I'm not a big, huge NetherRealm fan. And, you know, I'm a Turtles fan, but obviously not to, like, your level. But when I saw that DLC trailer, I couldn't help but grin. I was like, this is awesome. That's really, like, I have no reason to really care about this, but that is so awesome. And I went to Discord immediately. I was like, Mike, you gotta check this out. Like, I was just like, you need to see this. Like, I don't want you spoiled. I don't want you to just watch this. Like, please just watch this. And, you know, it sounded like it lived up to, you know, a good surprise expectation there.
I was definitely surprised, and I'm looking forward to see how it works.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing too, is just the way they teased it and the rumoring about how they will fight as a team. It's one, you know, 4 characters as like one playable character. That's super awesome. That's, you know, really, really cool. And
you have to give them a lot of credit. They have put a lot of support behind this game. Like,
absolutely, 100%.
It's still a thing. It's ongoing, and you're playing the game beyond 2017. Like,
it's funny, because I remember years ago when Street Fighter was on its high because of, you know, Street Fighter 4, how it launched at least, you know, and at least how Marvel vs. Capcom 3 launched. You know, we were riding essentially like a Capcom high. And just over time, I didn't even care for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I saw it for $20-something, and I still couldn't pull the trigger with my almost infinite amount of GameStop credit, because I was like, nah, I wouldn't play this. I know I wouldn't play this. And I questioned what kind of support it's getting. Now, if in a month or two they unveil like X-Men characters and stuff, that changes the game. But, you know, that's along the lines of what you're saying. The DLC can positively change a game for the better, you know?
Yeah, and like you were saying too, like with Zelda, people playing it now are going to be playing the best version of this game. Same thing with Injustice. People playing it now, they're going to be playing the best version of the game. And so, like, it's only going to get better with time too, which a lot of people don't like. Oh, I didn't get to play. Like why? Like, your game you enjoy is getting better. Like, why are you upset about that?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's like, here's the thing is, you know, I don't mind paying money. I like supporting the developers that make games I like. And as long as it's a fair model, and, you know,
this is like what's great about this game is, like, there's not blind boxes in this. You buy what you want. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. And I remember even podcasts when that the Gear system even came out. I was ragging on Mike a bit, because I was like, dude, they're gonna monetize the shit out of this game, this, that, and the other thing. And they want to be like the most fair about it. Right. Nobody was happy about it, and they had one of the more fair implementations about it. So it's just. You know, they're definitely awesome about that, and that's great. Even though I'm not, like, again, the biggest fan of the studio, but the thing is, interesting enough that you mentioned this as your number one. I was going through my PSN downloads, because I actually picked up Bloodborne on sale because I wanted to go through that. And I was going through like other games I can download at the same time, just add to my queue. I had forgotten that they had given us Injustice
As a freebie.
1 as a freebie.
Yeah.
And I was like,
The ultimate one.
I was like, you know what? You know, just not to shit on Just League. I was like, you know what? I remember like talking about the story and, you know, Jim talking about the story in the comics. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to add this to my downloads. Because the thing is, like, I'm not planning on playing it competitively or online or anything. But, you know what? I'll play story mode. You know, it sounds interesting. So,
Yeah.
And that comic is actually one of the better selling
Yeah,
comics.
it's funny.
It's a great what if storyline, honestly.
Yeah, it is. All right. It's going to wrap up of the year, I believe. Let's recap our top 3. Let's see. Corey, what was your number 3?
Destiny 2.
Mine was Nier. Tony's, yours was
Persona 5.
Persona 5. And Mike, number 3?
Sonic Mania.
Corey, number 2?
Wolfenstein 2.
Persona 5 for me. Tony?
Super Mario Odyssey for me.
And Mike?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
And number 1, Corey?
Number 1 was Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mine was Breath of the Wild.
Yep, Breath of the Wild here as well.
Then, Mike?
Injustice 2, which we just talked about.
So that's our top 3 of the year.
And I just want to take a quick note here. I mean, this year was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Simply amazing. And the thing is,
you can't
I
argue
could
about
easily
the top
talk
games.
about
Yeah.
I could talk about a top 10, and all those games are worth playing. I mean, even though it didn't make one list, Horizon Zero Dawn and Nier, Automata, amazing games. And in any other year, they easily could have been Game of the Year. I mean, 2014, 2015, 2016 were all, in my opinion, kind of weak years.
Uncharted 4 came out this year, didn't it?
No, that was
Last year?
no.
Last year? Okay, I couldn't remember.
And I'm
what
not
came
an
out this
Uncharted
year.
fan.
There's no way
Yeah,
Uncharted
like
4 came out last
Lost
Yeah.
Legacy, like you said, you just played it through it, and it was really good too. But it doesn't crack.
No.
It doesn't crack.
No,
I
it's
want
very
to
good.
shout
It
out to
doesn't- yeah.
Splatoon 2. I really like that game a lot.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Splatoon.
Fantastic. Switch
I mean,
game.
even for me, like even the disappointment of Andromeda, I still like enjoyed my time with it, and that's just like one of the things this year. And there's games that I want to play this year that I didn't even get to.
I enjoyed
People-
South Park.
Definitely.
I enjoyed South Park quite a bit. You know,
I haven't even played the Assassin's Creed game. I don't think it's going to be as good as Horizon
I
per
heard it's
se,
pretty
but
good.
I'm looking forward to that as well. And the Nintendo games I want to play too,
Yeah,
and I haven't
yeah.
played them yet either.
We'll see what 2018 brings. Thanks for tuning in. Write us podcast at allygeek.net. Follow us on Twitter, allygeek. Like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Tune into the next Gamecast coming up, and thanks a lot. Enjoy 2018, I hope.